political emergency bill it does what the science says. It's been written by scientists and by policymakers and others. So thanking everybody that's been involved in that bill.
We're here outside the Department of Transport, Central London.
Staying COVID safe. There is bound to be pictures somewhere in the right-wing press making a political point about this movement. There's been modelling from Columbia University that protests that are outside doing what we're doing with the masks should not create spikes. There was measures of the Black Lives Matter protests, did not create spikes. So if that's used against us, it's a purely political point. And actually what's happening, thank you, is that there's growing concerns about aviation, you know, people getting back on planes, people getting back into airports and so on, all the crowding that's happening there. Because this system is mental. It just can't stop itself. It says it's got to go back to how it was, and how it was killing the planet. The protests that we've made here are essentially pointing out that this government is committing crimes against humanity. Excuse me. So the government's Committee on Climate Change 2050 target gives us barely a 50% chance of avoiding a 1.5 degree rise in temperatures, and yet we're not even meeting the targets. The UK is responsible for about 2% of global emissions, but 15% of global fossil fuel finance, and historically we're the 5th biggest emitter. If you look at our carbon budget, and you look at it with equity, which is what we signed up to in the Paris Agreement, and if you look at how quickly it has to be cut by 2025. So this department is the department of all departments which is leading, thank you, which is leading the charge on making it impossible to stay within 1.5 degrees. All they can do is come up with some idea that we can suck out carbon at some later date, leaving future generations to pull the carbon out of the atmosphere. But that ignores the science of tipping points. I actually talked to an MP about this, and I said, how do you think that's going to work with the tipping point? She said, this Tory MP, she said, well, yeah, it's a bit of a problem, isn't it? It's like, wow, you know, goodness. The UK has got the highest tax subsidies for fossil fuels in the EU, according to a 2019 report. So we're here to talk about the road investment, so-called. You know, what on earth are they thinking about? We've got an electric charging point here. This idea that we can replace what we're doing eventually with electric cars. I mean, Donica McCarthy wrote a brilliant article about electric cars. It'd be cool to have some shared ones in communities, great public transport. The UN says we need to invest a massive percentage of our GDP into cycle lanes and so on. That's the way forward. But we can't simply have everybody convert their car into an electric car at some point in the future and hope that that's going to solve everything. Because even that requires horrendous amounts of mining. It has a big carbon footprint. We have to have a paradigm shift.
Good morning, Packley activists. Nice to see you all watching. Please share this stream.
And COVID has shown us that we can travel less. You know, we don't need to be rushing around. The reason we're rushing around is we're all stressed out trying to make money in a system that's extracting wealth from all of us constantly and giving it to the wealthy to write reports to justify why 27 billion of roads development is a good idea when it's clearly madness. So this movement is built on a history of road protests. And I want to really honour and thank those that went before us, and there are elders actually, and some of them are in the trees that have been part of the Newbury Bypass campaign of old as young people. Many of them went off to do permaculture for a while. Some of them were there filming at the time, were they not? Like, prefers to be behind the cameras, but honours to this woman here who's been putting in the hours for many, many years. The campaign for Highways to Hell, led by a fantastic woman who had a word with Jeremy Clarkson once, and a custard pie. I mean, what an awesome woman as well. I don't know who needs it. I don't really know who wants naming, so I'm not saying their names just in case. There was a really iconic moment in the road protest movement I heard about from dear old Phoenix, whereby they were wearing sort of crinoline dresses and playing this incredible drum and bass. Were you there? No, but you know, playing this incredible drum and bass that was just doing everybody's head in. It was so loud, and sort of dancing around with these crinoline dresses in a motorway. They had pneumatic drills under the dressers, and the drum and bass was covering it up. I mean, there's courage, there's audacity, and there's love, actually. So, yeah, I just really thank you for coming, thank you for being part of this rebellion. We're 2 years old. We're 2 years old. We've had our honeymoon period. Has anybody
at the Department of Transport?
Hey, thank you. Go around in circles, you know. Some of it's draining. Look after yourselves, folks. Take care. Make sure you have rests. You know, when it starts to feel a little bit, maybe take a bit of time out. This is the environmental movement's been going on for a long time, and we're the latest iteration. Let's just know that if we need a break, there are other people that step in and they're carrying this forwards. It doesn't require any of us to kill ourselves over this thing. So, you know, please take care of yourselves. Please have so much self-compassion and love and compassion for each other. And thank you from the bottom of my heart for all you're doing. Blessings and peace. Lots of love.
We're here outside the Department of Transport.
Inspirational.
A few minutes walk from Parliament Square.
We have one more speaker. We have a guy who's involved in the campaign against the Silvertown Tunnel, which doesn't happen to be Department for Transport, but it's roads again. So please give a welcome to Zach Balansky.
Thank you. I say extinction, you say rebellion. Extinction! Rebellion! Extinction! Rebellion! Do we want more highways to hell? No! Right answer, no we do not. I'm actually here with two hats on today, so as, I don't know who wants being named, but as the person said, I'm here with Stop the Silvertown Coalition. I'll talk about what that is in a moment. I also think it's important to say that I'm running for the Green Party for the London Assembly. We have elections coming up in May. We currently have 2 Green Party Assembly members. I'm number 3 on the list, so hopefully I'll be joining Sean Berry and Caroline Russell very soon. And the reason why I mentioned that is, thank you. If I'm on the Assembly, one of the first things in week 1 that I will be working with Sean and Caroline to do is to cancel and stop the Silvertown Tunnel. We do not need more roads. So I realise this is a bit London-centric, and I apologise for that because the Silvertown Tunnel is in London, so I'll just explain briefly what it is. But I'm also really aware that no matter where you're from, and thank you to everyone for coming from all over the place, that this is going on in every city. It's not called the Silvertown Tunnel, but in every city, tarmac is being laid, nature is being destroyed, our ecology and our natural habitat is being annoyed, and we need to say no more. The Silvertown Tunnel is a contract that's been signed by our Labour Mayor Sadiq Khan, which is going to cost £2.1 billion. And incredibly, this is pretty brazen. He says, and the team says, that it's going to cut down air pollution and cut down congestion. Now, you don't need to be a road engineer to work out that building more roads is not the way to reduce traffic or to cut down congestion. We need to cancel this tunnel. Just think in London what we could do with £2.1 billion right now. We could extend the DLR, we could extend the Bakerloo line. Even more crucially, we could actually put in cycle lanes, proper cycling infrastructure to make our roads safe for people who walk, people who cycle, and invest properly in sustainable green transport. That's what we should be spending the money on, not more nonsense and more roads. So essentially, this is three emergencies. First of all, it's an air pollution emergency. In London, we have some of the most polluted streets in the whole of Europe.
Please note all the police arriving en masse in the back of this speech.
This is a completely unsustainable situation that we need to be working to stop, and again, not building more roads. One of the ways to do this, for instance, is to introduce tolls on the Blackwell Tunnel that we already have. Now, Sadiq has said we'll introduce tolls at the Blackwell, and we'll introduce tolls at the Silvertown Tunnel, and this will make enough money for TfL. Now, this argument is incoherent. It doesn't make sense. Because if you're going to raise enough money for it to have any economic benefit, then traffic has to go up. Yet Sadiq has declared a climate emergency along with Caroline Russell's Green Party motion. So you can't declare a climate emergency, say you're going to reduce emissions, but then say we're going to make enough money from the increased traffic. It makes absolutely no sense. So number one, it's an air pollution emergency. And I say that it's about an economic argument, but we know this is not something that can necessarily be measured in money. This is about our health. It's about the health of our children, our grandchildren, and future generations.
Lots of police arriving.
Second, we're Extinction Rebellion. We know all about the climate emergency. Gail just delivered a fantastic speech about why we're here, and I'm not going to go over and repeat that. I think it's probably worth repeating the Tory MP who said, yeah, it's a bit of a problem, isn't it? That's the attitude right now. I was so proud that Caroline Lucas and other parties pushed forward the Climate and Ecological Emergency Bill. And then I was so disappointed to hear that it won't be debated on until March. How is it this government can get Brexit legislation to prorogue Parliament through in 48 hours, but on something where it's an actual emergency, it's going to take months to debate it? That is not acceptable. It's a good step forward and I applaud it, but we absolutely need to keep pressure on. We need to write to our MPs and we need to demand more. And then finally, this is also a democratic emergency. Not only do we have an unfair voting system of first past the post that means there's very little representation in Parliament for what we the people actually believe, we need to desperately set up a citizens' assembly, and I'm so pleased that's a central tenet in the Climate and Ecological Emergency Bill. As well as setting up a citizens' assembly though, we need to look at the measures we have in place now. On the London Assembly, Sean Berry has asked Sadiq Khan time and time again, what are the figures for cancelling the Silvertown Tunnel? And he refuses to give them. The TfL refused to give them, and the Department for Transport are frequently unaccountable, and there's a lack of transparency around the money. We absolutely need more transparent government so the people and citizens can make those decisions. That's why, to finish off, we absolutely need to stay strong. I've said I'm running for the Green Party. I've said I'm here to stop the Silvertown Tunnel, but more than anything, I'm here as a citizen. I'm here as someone who's been arrested with Extinction Rebellion, and I was proud to do so. I'm here that I'm proud that every single one of us is here today because we're demanding better. We must build back better. Let's stay strong. Thank you very much.
Spray talk going on.
Okay, we have one more
We're outside the
speaker,
Department
and,
of
his
Transport
name is
in
Mr.
central
DFT.
London. Just a few minutes walk from Parliament Square.
Hello, now then, I've got the microphone. Feel free to cheer and boo if you like. You know what? I'm doing the job of the DFT today. I have a feeling that we've got 27.5 billion of lovely lolly. What shall we do with it? Lay down the tarmac! That's what we've got to do! Climate change, that's a nonsense, it's all a fabrication! Lay down the tarmac! So, all you climate activists, please do your...
It's chalk paint, so it's not permanent paint, just so that people know that.
Done a report on decarbonising transport, but let's see what happens. That's it from me. Just remember the DFT, it rules here.
Thank you, Mr. DFT. Okay, so we are here to show what happens when you build more roads and you ignore climate change. So we are here to have a die-in, so if everybody would like to spend a bit of while, a bit of time
Getting the
on
message
road.
across to the Department of Transport right outside their doors.
I think it's a crime scene incident.
It's a crime scene incident.
Run over my traffic. Yes, traffic everywhere. Tell you what, COVID came through the traffic, and it was lovely in the city centres. No traffic.
The crime scene incident. Notice the tyres across their bodies. Thank you, Wales, sending their solidarity. Oh yeah, so let's get to quite a transport behind you. Yeah, tell us what's going on.
So we're here outside the Department of Transport. This is Highways to Hell. We're protesting the building of new roads, new tarmac, where our natural habitat is being destroyed, and we've had enough. So what's happening here? Lots of Extinction Rebellion activists have come along, and we're staging a die-in. We've got people in hazmat suits, they're laying on the floor dying, representing the amount of unnecessary deaths that are caused every single year by air pollution. We're talking about the different things that are happening from the air pollution in terms of the fact that we need to be investing in sustainable transport, in greener, more renewable ways of living that are sustainable. We can't keep building new roads and live in a climate emergency. We absolutely need to reduce our emissions. We also need to think about air pollution. This isn't just about the climate emergency, although of course that's super important. This is also about our health, the health of our children, our grandchildren, and future generations. We can't keep saying that we care about these things. We can't keep saying, yes, let's declare climate emergencies, we're going to do something about this, but not actually take the time to say no more roads. This pandemic is an absolute moment, it's a crossroads to look at what kind of society we want to be in the future. And this is a really key time where there's a vacuum, where government could actually be stepping in and saying we need to look at people working from home, we need to look at if people can't work from home, how they can work instead. But what we absolutely can't do is keep building more roads. And it's just unbelievable that the government would invest £2 billion in kind of resilience and in saying, okay, we need to decarbonise our economy, but then in the same breath announce 27.5 billion roads on new road projects. So it's really clear why we're here. I think it's a very strong reason to be here. I'm proud of every single activist flying in the road right now.
Thank you very much. I'll come back to you soon. Hi, great to see Stephen's watching from Australia. Hello. And hello to Crackley Woods if you're still watching. outside the Department of Transport. This is a crime scene. Extinction Rebellion are calling for the government to stop spending money on new roads. Here we go, the crime scene tape is going out.
Thank you very much for the dying, for the roadkill. If you'd like to stand up now. Thank you very much for all our dead bodies. We've created a lovely crime scene here. I think we might want to move on now, so if you'd like to stand up, we'll decide where we're going to go from here.
Quite a few police here. No arrests. So this is an action targeting the Department of Transport. Messages to stop building roads. Police have got hold of the spray can paint now. You should stop building roads outside the Department of Transport, taking a message right to the centre of London.
I think some of us have really died.
Are you up for doing a sign off? Yeah. So just to start with. Yes, we have crime scene tape. And yes, so how's the action gone?
I mean, this is a climate crime scene. The action's been brilliant today. Lots of people have come along. There's been drums, the usual Extinction Rebellion vibe. But also, crucially, I think a really important message has been heard loud and clear by the Department of Transport that we won't put up with this, that we won't put up with new roads and new tarmacs. We absolutely need to say no to this. Right now, it's really beautiful to see there is a People's Assembly happening to decide the next action. The police so far seem, I was about to say, they seem quite resistant, but you might want to turn around. There's quite a heavy police presence on its way, arriving, I guess, are waiting to see what happens next. But I think that's almost a distraction from actually the reason why we're here, which is to say that £27.5 billion on road projects is absolutely unacceptable when you're only spending £2 billion on resilience and decarbonising the economy.
Thank you very much. We're going to sign off now. Please do share this live stream. Thank you.